Good morning. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you're watching on the replay. If you don't know me, I know there's a lot of new people on this public profile that I have going on. So if you don't know me, I am an erotic leader. I've been doing this for over 15 years now, and I am here to turn you on into your passion, back into your purpose, into all of your pleasure. And I was just sitting here this morning. Sitting isn't really the right verb. I don't sit much. I'm either lying down horizontally or standing up and dancing. But I was lying down horizontally on my ground, and I was rolling on my ground, on the ground. It felt like my ground. And I was rolling around, and I was touching my body, and I was feeling into what started to come into my awareness was the people that are flying out to New York City this weekend to have a retreat with me. I'll be leading the retreat. And it's part of something that I do for budding entrepreneurs that want to create shit out into the world with turn on and orgasm. And it's this group. I have a sex and business mastermind group that I don't really talk about much because people just kind of appear in it. But it's been on my heart today to share about it. And it's called Pleasure Creation. And we meet for 6 months, and it becomes like a pleasure family, a family of people that uphold you to a new standard of pleasure and a standard of being able to create from the fullness of you, from your ease, from your bliss, from your love, from your service, rather than from your pushing and your needing for people to be a certain way. So that's the group, and we're just about rounding out. They're coming for their retreat, and I was feeling into them, and I was feeling into what they've created already. And so just a little like background, if you don't know about pleasure creation, in order to go into pleasure creation, you must first go through either the Erotic Blueprint Breakthrough course, which is created by Jaya, or through Pleasure Academy, which is my first level group that I run every 3 months, every 3 to 4 months, in order for you to reclaim your pleasure and your sovereign eroticism. So that's first. And then once that's there, right? Once you know, like, oh, this is the power of me, then you can move into starting to create from your orgasmic bliss, which is what pleasure creation is about. And I was feeling into them, and I was feeling into what they've created, and I was in awe. And then I thought to myself, how the fuck am I going to help people shift their mindset to believe that this sort of magic is possible? That this sort of love is possible. Yes, wealth and abundance appears, but deeply, it's this deep inner knowing of self, this deep knowing of what you are here to do on the planet, and exactly, not even how to do it, because the how doesn't matter, but that it just starts doing itself. It starts kind of happening for you. And my biggest challenge in my career over the past 15 years has always been the same challenge, which is, how do I help people recognize what's possible? Because to believe that this sort of magic actually happens and can happen to you, not just to me, right, but to the hundreds of people that have been through my programs, how can I help you see what's possible? Because so many of us, I actually believe that every single one of us is already a leader. And I want to speak a little bit to what a leader feels like, and just type in if you resonate with this, if this feels resonant to you, or if you have questions about this piece. So to me, a leader is someone that can move energy. That's it. It's that simple. So a leader of self, which is what we do in Pleasure Academy, the leader of self is one that knows when there is a pain, when there is a constriction, when there is something in the body that feels off or misaligned, that they can lead themselves back to alignment and divinity. They can lead themselves back to their awareness of themselves as one being with all things. Many of us, what we do instead is we look to others, we seek for the solution of physical, emotional, or energetic pain elsewhere. And I did this for a very, very, very long time. I was obsessed with seeing healers. I was obsessed with going on shamanic journeys and experiences. And those are all beautiful. And they are not the solution. They are beautiful additions to your journey, and they are not the solution. The solution is when you remember you, when you come back home to remembering yourself. And in that remembrance, you remind yourself of the erotic, ecstatic nature that is actually you. And then what we learn to do in Pleasure Academy is we take that ecstatic nature and we make that our baseline. So that ecstatic nature becomes our baseline, which is the baseline for all beings. So it's not a mental construct of a baseline, but like an actual energetic feeling of, okay, this is my blueprint, this is my MO. Then from there, in this co-creative group atmosphere, which is another key piece here, whenever I'm leading anything now, I do it in group. I take very, very few one-on-one clients, and it's only the one-on-one clients that I know have a certain degree of self-leadership already. If not, you're going to go into the group atmosphere because there's a coherence that appears, an ability for one person to be the pilot light if another person's pilot light has gone out. And I am by no means the guru and the all-being of energetic sexuality, right? Of knowing how to reclaim this in yourself. Yes, I've practiced it. It's a lifelong journey. I've practiced it for a long time, but I am not the end-all be-all. So we go into this group academy. And in this small group academy, we become responsible for ourselves, which then lifts the entire community up into their greatest sense of beingness. So we have that experience in Pleasure Academy. So many people, just to tell you some of the magic that happens, people go in terrified of their body. People going so afraid of me, of the work, right? But they have this like inkling that they deserve more for themselves, that they can maybe learn and have an embodied sense of pleasure, that maybe that becomes a part of their lives, but they don't know how to get there. They have no idea. They've done other courses, all the feminine courses, all the masculine courses, and they're still not feeling this sense of aliveness in their system. They've got physical pains. They've got emotional issues, anxiety, depression. They're consistently alone. Something else I find. So their relationships between other people are difficult. All of this is pointing to a deep need for self-leadership. And what I mean by this is an ability to connect with your higher self, which is the divine erotic essence of you, which comes through your orgasmic energy. Once you realize that and anchor that in as who you are, all of the other things you get to lead. You get to move the energy of the places that are not fully used so that it can come back into this aliveness and into this greatness. Now, I learned this on my own, right? I had some support. And I effectively really just dove into this room that I'm in right now. I would close the door, I would close the blinds, and I would hold my body and I would cry. I was going through a major breakup where my ex, a drug addict, had just left my house. I had zero money. I wasn't able to pay the rent or any bills. I was a single mom at the time, and I had a massive chronic illness. I had this fear of, what if I go? Like, what if I can't sustain myself here on the earth planet? What's going to happen to my son? And it was so deep, they call it a dark night of the soul, right? This deep, deep, deep sadness that there was nothing that I could do but lie on the floor and hold myself. And I started, for the first couple of weeks, it was a lot of self-soothing. It was just getting me back into my body. Every night I would put my kid to bed, I'd close the door, I'd shut the blinds, I'd lie down on the ground, and I would feel whatever was here. And I would just soothe it. That's it. I would just send it love and acceptance. And then after a while, over time, I started to learn the intricacies of how I could actually move the energy. Not to get rid of it, not to change it, not to fix it, but simply to give it a new breath of awareness, a new trajectory to play with, right? And so I started to kind of perfect that. Okay, what happens if my hand is this far away? What happens if my hand is this close? What happens if I move slowly? What happens if I grab and scratch? What happens if I change my breath patterns? And I got really curious because to me, the other option was basically death. It was this or death. And I was in that jumping off point. Right? Which is why with my work, there aren't a lot of low-end offerings. And the reason being that the work is not a low-end offering. This is actually an opportunity for you to completely change who you are. People are unrecognizable from the beginning of the journey to the end of the journey in Pleasure Academy and in Pleasure creation. This is the way it works. So it is not like, oh, let me pick up some cute tips of how to bring myself back into pleasure. No, it's going deep, deep, deep into the caverns of the shadows of your sexuality, which then become your turn on, then become your orgasm. And to me, what happened and what happens to the people in Pleasure Academy is all of a sudden I had a vision of where I was supposed to go next, of my divine assignment on the planet. So I tapped into that and I committed to that. A lot of us get visions and we don't commit. But I knew that energetically I had to commit to that vision in order for something beautiful to actually manifest in my world. And I began to commit to that vision. And every time that I felt like I didn't want to commit to the vision, I committed further. I held my body. I felt the commitment again in my system that this is the mission for me on the planet. And that no matter what happens in my external reality, I have myself and my self-driver, my self-leadership that can move me and shift me to go where I need to be so that I can lead in love and service and help people recognize what's possible, to move them out of a state of victimhood of their past sexuality, of their partnerships, of saying, oh, my sex life sucks because of my partner, right? Oh, my sex life sucks because of my trauma. Oh, I can't find pleasure because of this, and my job and this and the kids. And instead moving to a space of, holy shit, life is fucking magical. And that's the piece that is hardest for me to impart to you. Because you may not have felt it yet. Or maybe you have on little moments, right? On medicine journeys or in really hot sex or maybe as a kid. But your adulthood doesn't have to be mundane and null and dull anymore. Your visions don't have to be stomped down. Do you know what happens every time that we have a vision and we don't claim it and we don't penetrate it? I see this all the time. Man, woman, non-binary, don't care. I see this all the time where there's a vision, an idea, and a dream, and we don't commit to it. And that doesn't mean we don't move forward with it or take action on it. There's an energetic of commitment, of saying, no matter what, I will make you happen in the world. No matter what, I will surrender all parts of myself so that this thing that is me gets to move through me and create in the world. No matter what, I am going to bow at the feet of this mission and vision because it is bigger than me and more important than me. And I will continue to work with it and allow it to bring me where I need to go. What we do instead is we go, ooh, this feels uncomfortable, no. Or, ooh, I don't know if this is really me, no. Or, it's too scary, I don't want to hurt people, no. Right? And we stop that divine mission from moving through us. Do you know what happens every time we stop it? Well, we stop being able to trust our own leadership. We stop being able to trust our leadership within ourselves. This intuitive guidance, we shut it down. And every time we shut it down, our nervous system says, fuck, I can't be trusted. I can't trust my own self. Who am I to trust? And then we go into this victim place again where we look outside for someone to trust. And that never works now, does it? We go, oh, maybe in this relationship, I can trust this. And then that person lets us down. Or maybe in this business coach or this mentor, I can trust them and they will fix me. No. We point the finger back into our own self. And this is on a quantum level. And we learn about this in Pleasure Creation. We start to tap into it in Pleasure Academy, but we really learn about it in Pleasure Creation. Where the reason that this is so important to point to self and to become self-responsible in our own inner leadership is because your external reality is actually always a holographic mirror reflection of your own internal dialogue, of what's going on inside of your system. And if you don't believe me, sit for a moment. Sit for 30 minutes today and think about everything in your life that you don't like. Everything in your life that doesn't feel yummy, and then go inside of yourself and find all the parts of yourself that you don't like. You will begin to see the ties. You will begin to see the connection. Always. Right? And so what we do is once we find this vision and we commit into it, then we start to take action. And action is not like, let me map out my goal plan. This is what we do in Pleasure Academy, or Pleasure Creation, excuse me. Let me map out my goals. Let me right? Like sometimes it is. Sometimes that energy is super hot and awesome. And the majority of the time, what that means is let me put myself vulnerably in front of people so that people can see me, feel me, hear me. When that happens, leadership starts to be birthed. Many of us are leaders and we instead move into managerial positions. Even at the beginning of our businesses, we start managing marketing, managing promotions, managing all this shit. And then what happens is our vision dies. Because remember, leadership is simply movement of energy. And so in pleasure creation, what happens is we start to learn, how can I best move the energy of the humans around me? Is it through my voice? Is it through my touch? Is it through my writing? Is it through all of it? Is it through my visual designs, right? Is it through sex? Right? That's how I move the most energy. So that's what we look for, rather than what do I need to manage in order to make this happen? How can I copy what other people have done? No, your divine assignment is extremely unique to you. And we start to really tap into that when we move into pleasure creation, so that you can actually begin to manifest these things in the world. So let me just tell you a few of the things that have happened in pleasure creation. Which again is my sex and business mastermind, and we are currently enrolled for all the programs. We're enrolling for all the programs. So Pleasure Academy, which is the preliminary program that you must take before moving into pleasure creation, and then Pleasure Creation, which is the most fucking amazing thing ever. It's a sex and business mastermind based on your visions. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because they're all coming to New York this weekend, everyone in pleasure creation currently, and I'm really jazzed and I'm really feeling it, and I can't wait to watch them in their leadership. Right, that this is what this is about. And so a few of the things that have happened. One person came into the group. She had no idea why she was there, because she's not a coach. This is not what it is. She's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing in here. Like, I'm not an entrepreneur. What happened is about 3 weeks into the group, she was fired from her job. And when she was fired from her job, she took that as an opportunity to begin to lead, because she felt how there is actually no one on the planet that is not a leader, right? Because we are divinely assigned, all of us need to simply learn how to lead energy. That's it. And the moments when the energy wants to be led into you going into surrender, that's also, just to clarify that's also leading energy. When you're surrendering, you're allowing the energy to soften, right? That's just as important as the movement forward. And we need to have a mastery of both. This is also, by the way, how sex gets really hot. It's not about you go in this role, I go in this role, I'll do this, you do this, let me learn all the techniques from the textbook. No, it's about settling into the nuances and the subtlety of the turn on energy of where the current is flowing, so that you can continue to move it. And so that 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people can co-creatively move the energy. It's when the energy gets stuck and stagnant that we run into erectile issues, we run into dryness, we run into pain, right? It's the stagnation of energy rather than the ability to move through. Okay, so a little side note there on sex, because sex is everything and everything is sex. Moving into pleasure creation. So she got fired from her job, and then started this massive kind of non-profit organization to support people that were in her similar career. It's gotten, like, she has some of the most incredible people coming onto her interview platforms and speaking. She's not even a coach, and someone actually approached her a few weeks ago and was like, I want to work with you. How much do you charge? And she just made up a big ass number that felt good, right? And then now she just got a position in Hawaii, and her whole family is moving out to Hawaii. Because of her leadership abilities. We have another person in there that just got certified as a coach. And they really dropped into this idea that there's nothing they need to do, there's nowhere they need to be, but love and lead and move the energy when they feel it, right? Trust that intuitive channel and then leap on it. And now they've got tons of clients. They're making 15, 20K months, and they just got certified, right? So those are some examples. There's more. Someone else published a book, right? We have people in there launching programs that are just so divinely inspired and fucking incredible. And the way that I see this is like these spinning vortexes of energy. So my leadership, right, then gets to that energy spiral, that focus of energy gets to drop down to the people in pleasure creation, and then they start to spin their own energetic vortexes, which then drops down, and then they get to spin, right? This is the way I see it. So it's not about me being me leading and teaching and showing. It's about me saying, hey, you right there, do you see that place where you could lead deeper, right? Do you see that place in you that wants to move through you? Why don't we give it permission? Why don't we allow your fire and your loving passion to come through you in your sex and in your business, because again, they're co-creative. It's why it's a sex and business mastermind. And again, in order to jump into it, we need to first go to Pleasure Academy to master self leadership ability, self pleasure, and sovereignty. By the end of Pleasure Academy, you will know exactly how to move the energy within your own system so that you never need to seek outside coaching for pain, for emotional issues, none of that. None of that. You get to hold yourself for the first time, maybe ever. And what this does, just to give you a key in here, is it releases the pressure on other people to have to hold you. So your relationships become free and easy. You get to just simply love from a place of fullness. Right? Your sex becomes fucking hot because it's all about you already being fully alive and then simply bringing that into the space of what you're co-creating with your partner. You get to really own your own kink in Pleasure Academy. You get to own your sexual aliveness. And again, if you've done Erotic Blueprint course before, Pleasure Creation, you can move right to Pleasure Creation. You don't have to do the Pleasure Academy. But if you haven't done that course, then definitely Pleasure Academy, then Pleasure Creation. Okay. And then one more thing that's offered, just want to mention it because I'm about to go into retreat mode, and I know a lot of you have been wondering what's on deck, what's being offered right now, because we just finished Pleasure Alchemy, which is very exciting and super fucking hot and amazing. The other offering that I'm going to be doing is an 8-week intensive. 8-week intensive with one individual. It's a one-on-one 8-week intensive. And I would also do a couple, if they're the right couple. And this is super high selective. And we're going to start in November, and it's going to bring you through the end of 2020. So this is if you're like, fuck all this, I'm ready to have a totally new fucking life in 8 weeks. It's going to be intensive in terms of time and financial commitment. And it's me and you, baby. 8 weeks straight. I'm only taking one person. So if you want that 8-week spot, I actually want you message me directly. So I can make sure to get you in this week since we're going to be starting in November. And if you're interested in Pleasure Academy or Pleasure Creation, just comment with a yes. Okay, comment with a yes or even a fuck yes. And then we will go ahead and reach out to you, either myself or someone on my team, whoever is more available for you and whoever feels the most aligned. So I want to hear from this conversation, from what you've received today, what is dropping in, what is resonating, what feels alive, right? The work of sexuality is the work of power. The work of sexuality is the work of passion and purpose. Without sexuality, these other places fall short. Your sexuality and your eroticism is your lifeline. It's your lifeblood. And we've done everything on the planet to stop ourselves from being fully alive because of the power of it. It is so fucking powerful. It can literally create entirely new lives in a month. And so this is the one key. If you're someone that usually does deep work and you're like, I'm gonna do a year-long deep work, fucking deep dive, and it's gonna be really hard, and is the complete opposite. Turn yourself on and your entire life will change. And I don't mean turn yourself on just in your genitals, but what about your whole body? What about your entire relationship? What about your turn on to your creations and your business? Turn yourself on and your entire life will change. I'm looking forward to dropping in with you, Pleasure Academy, Pleasure Creation, or maybe that one-on-one super fucking crazy amazing spot. I've never done before and I'm really excited. So just drop in if you want that. I love you to pieces. Share this video if it felt yum, 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 yummy. And I will see you all tomorrow. I'm going to come on for a Q&A tomorrow on this main page. So if you have questions that arise or if you want to type them in here, I can totally answer them tomorrow on Q&A. This is a Q&A about anything business, wealth creation, pleasure, sexuality, or spirituality and non-duality. I'm going to answer questions on any of those tomorrow. I will see you then. Mwah. Bye, y'all.